I would say it's still very much unknown in terms of what the structure of any finalized deal would look like, whether Oracle's investing and reporting, on its balance sheet, and whether TikTok's top line and potential earnings growth are factored into their results, or whether it's just a technology provider that gets another really name brand customer to further its own cloud offering.
And here's a crazy question: does it make a difference? I mean, on the one hand, if they did participate in the financials, you would imagine the stock trading very differently as people get excited about what TikTok's earnings could look like in the years ahead. On the other hand, TikTok, I think, loses money right now, and maybe just the exposure gives Oracle a little bit of the halo effect without having to worry about that baggage. So what's the better scenario as far as you're concerned?
For us, I think it's important to just step back and understand what could be the strategic priority here for Oracle. And that is really changing the narrative around the potential for growth at the company. I think, for Oracle, competing with AWS and Amazon and competing with Azure for Microsoft, has really been the top story over the last few years. And the market opportunity that they're going after is pretty tremendous. I mean, most analysts, including ourselves, think that this is more than a $250 billion market, in the next few years. And Oracle has, very low single-digit share of this market today, with customers like Zoom that they've signed on earlier this year, with a customer like TikTok, getting to scale, offering capacity, and getting referenceable customers really changes the narrative about growth for that product and for the whole company. Quite frankly, which I think investors want to see.
I understand where they're coming from, but I still think it's tough competition. You're up against the biggest, best players in the world with their own cool factor, so that it's still an extremely competitive environment, even if they have Zoom, even if they have TikTok. I'm curious, and again, this is speculative, but who calls the shots in this arrangement as far as we understand it? If they have a minority stake in TikTok US, and TikTok US has a problem that they don't feel comfortable with, a way of doing business, a way of collecting data, a way of you name it, is Oracle calling the shots or not? I mean, do they actually get sucked into TikTok's drama and have to deal with U.S. regulators all the time as people try to figure out, whether they're kosher or not?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think that's, it sounds to us like the people that would be calling the shots in this type of scenario would be Oracle's or the VC backers, ultimately the leadership of TikTok. I think Oracle is going to be able to put potentially their stamp on how the data is stored, where it's stored, how it's handled, how it's managed. And that's pretty important, it sounds like, to get a deal like this actually done and across the finish line. Does it have depending on how the deal's structured, whether they're the trusted partner or whether they're, a meaningful investor in the deal, is going to drive what kind of drama they could ultimately get pulled into. And to your earlier point, the competition is fierce. I also wouldn't underestimate the opportunity for Oracle to really get closer in this type of an arrangement with some of the strategic backers in the valley of these high growth companies like TikTok, like ByteDance. I think that's an avenue for Oracle to pursue down the road for, getting more deeply embedded into the high growth software landscape at the infrastructure layer and level. So that's something that Google's used to great success with their GCP product. That's also an interesting avenue to explore with this deal.